Hi all my wonderful Adobe Illustrator students for MACA 1200. This is the home page for your class, as I have shown you in the opening movie that you hopefully watched this past weekend. What I want to show you is how to download the assets and begin this first assignment. And then this setup movie is going to show those of you that have no experience with the pen or little experience with the pen how to work the pen in. I will let you know if you do have experience with the pen and you don't need to go through what I'm going to show you and you want to just start the first assignment. I'll tell you when you can stop watching this movie, okay? And you're going to hear noises in my kitchen because I have a pizza in the oven, so I'm going to pause the movie and have lunch and then come back. But here is the Canvas homepage, as I have said. So over here on the left, click your modules, and I'm going to go down in the week 1 module right here. Okay, see where it says asset files for guide to pen and path? That's what you do first, okay? And I'm going to click it. Now, you have to also click the download pen and path zip. Should download to your screen. If you have any problems, just let me know in a Canvas email if you have problems. And at the end of this movie, I'll show you if you do have problems where that is. Actually, I can show you right now. If you go in the inbox, see the inbox right over here? Click the inbox, and in this inbox, click this new compose a new message, and then choose your class. Now you would, however many classes you have here, I'm going to choose, make sure this is my fall one right here. So there's the fall class, and all you have to do is click this button here and hit teachers, and then send Brian Sorial a message. So type in here, I have a question about the asset files or guide to pen and path, and I'll respond to you, okay? So right now I'll cancel that and I'll go back to the module. So in the path to pen and path zip, now it's downloaded to my screen. I'm going to go back into here and just keep this here for the moment, okay? So I'll minimize the screen. I'm going to double click the file, the zip file, and it'll open up here. Now in that pen and path folder, and by the way, I can right hand click and trash the zip file, and now because I have the folder, so put it into your class folder. Okay, now inside is a pen and path PDF, which I'll show you because I have mine open already, and you are to open up the pen and path AI file. That's where you actually begin. And as soon as you open it up, I want to guide you through how to make the window work. For those of you that have never been an illustrator or don't have a lot of practice with screens and quick keys. Okay, so right now if you hit Command or Control 0, it'll go to the full screen. All right, and right off the bat, I want you to go to however on your computer you're going to save it, but I want you to save as. And as I say here in the Acrobat file, which is your assignment file, okay, which I've already shown you to download this file from the opening movie, right here it says, and I'll zoom in, I'm holding the Option or Alt key and I'm scrolling my middle mouse button. Now I'm going to hold the space bar and move this over. And by the way, those two quick keys that I just showed you, or shortcuts, also work for all the Adobe applications. Okay, so your grade will depend on the proper naming of your assignment. Always include your name in the file. Okay, I'll be right back. So in this case, for me, I would name my file B for Brian, capital, then capital on my last name with my last name and an underscore, and then this is the pen and path assignment. So I just say penandpath.ai, and you don't have to type the .ai. Illustrator will put that in for you. Okay, so again, if I hold Alt or Option and scroll the middle mouse button, you can see that I can go magnify the screen, and wherever my cursor points, watch this, I'm going to put the cursor up by these two pen and path files, and now I'm going to scroll. And you can see with my middle mouse button how it kind of zooms in to where I'm pointing. And that's the same in Illustrator as I will demonstrate. So you have to turn in one that is taking the black lines and matching over the red lines. I'll show you. And then you have to do one and just color it. That's it, with any colors you want. I mean, that will take no time at all. And I will show you some of the colors. Now you have to turn in both files. You can submit one at a time or both at the same time. Okay? I even say that right down here. I say you can submit both into, you can submit both of them. I don't know why that's not working. Okay, you can submit both of them into the assignment module Dropbox at the same time, or submit the first one, then submit the second one anytime you want into Canvas, because it allows for multiple submissions. Okay, so in the first day handout syllabus, if you advance it to week 2, it's that's going to be page 6. You can see what's due for week 1 and week 2. Now in week 1, I want you to do all of these things as I've shown you, but in week 2 is when this assignment is due. So you can see that both, that's why I put in there both, Guide 2 Pen and Path files are due Sunday of week 2. And so is the discussion post. But let's get right to the file. So now, you save it with your proper name, okay? Now I'm going to cancel that because I'm already got something going here. So I'm going to go into the one after you have saved as, then this is how it should look at the end. Now you have 2 layers over here. You have a drawing layer and a tracing layer. Let me turn off the eyeball, look over here, for the drawing layer and turn on the tracing layer. Okay, and you should leave that one on. Now I'm using the space bar to move my thing around, both on Mac and PC. The space bar is the hand tool. There's no need to ever go into the tool palette right here, which can be displayed if you click this upper right hand thing as a long, narrow one. I personally like it this way. So I'm going to use it that way. But you don't have to click the hand tool to get to the hand tool. You can be in the pen tool or any tool, hold the space bar down and hold it, and it is the hand tool. Now, as I said before, if you want to zoom into something, don't go Command plus or Control plus and Control minus. Don't use the magnifying glass. Just hold Option on a Mac, Alt on a PC, point your cursor wherever you want to zoom in, and it zooms into that point. See how easy that is? Now I'll go into this one, I'll go into this corner here. Then you can see just how nice zooming and magnifying in and out, because that's going to be totally necessary to do. So your job is to create a traced version using the exact number of points that I have in the PDF file. Please don't add points to get the job done. I will demonstrate that in a few minutes, okay? But how does one draw? All right, I want to have you look at how I draw. So I'm clicked on the drawing layer, right? I'm going to go into another file because this is the finished file, all right? And I'm going to hit the X little tabby thing here, and I'm not going to save this. And now here, if I go into this file, this is the colored version. So all you have to do is don't color the first one, save as, put the word colored in there, so you have your first initial last name underscore pen path underscore colored. Okay? And that's how it should be done. So I want both of these done. And I want to introduce you in a few minutes to the fill icon and the stroke icon. You see what I'm clicking there? That's fill, that's stroke. Whatever one is in the front is whatever happens. Okay? So let me close that one now and not save it, because I don't need to save that, and go into this one, and I'm going to turn off that little clock for the time being. Okay, so I'm going to zoom into the first one. but I'm going to show you how to draw and how to get straight edges and how to get curved edges. So the very first thing I want to do is make sure, look over here, I have a white fill. I'm going to just make the white fill a color so you see an error. So I just clicked in the swatches palette. Everything's available under Window. So down here is swatches. You can see it right there. I'm going to just draw. So you can see if I just click and click and click, I have something now that has the ability to fill. So this is a fill with a black stroke. All right. And you can see up here in the tool palette, there is a regular selection tool and a direct selection tool. So I'm going to explain to you what the difference with those is. So I'm going to click the regular selection tool and click my object. Now up here, and I'm going to bring up the stroke palette because I want you to see something. So I'm going to pull the stroke palette out here. You see how thick this black stroke is? And if you wanted to change the stroke color, you would just click the stroke and click whatever color you wanted to change. All right, now let me zoom in with the Option or Alt middle mouse button, and I'll move my stuff over so I have more room on my screen. Okay, you see how I have a blue selection color, but I have a red stroke and a green fill. Now, if I wanted to change the selection color, and let me show you a couple problems with it, all right? Meaning, you might not see the selection color. I'm going to hit the direct selection tool in a minute, which is the hollow arrow. So this is the regular selection tool over here on the left. The hollow one is the direct selection tool. What is the difference? The difference is if I click away from this object and I click it like this, for some reason, I am not seeing my points over there. Yes, I see them now. So, I don't know why I'm not seeing my points. And the bounding box shouldn't be like that. There should be solid points right there. So I'm going to fix that in a second because I probably have something turned off, and I will be right back. Okay, they've added something. They, being Adobe, added something, and I don't mean to come up with problems, but that's what computers are all about. Do you see how you can see these dark points here and here? I went to Illustrator, Preferences, Selection and Anchor Display, and there's actually a button that says Show Anchor Points in Selection Tool. So it was unchecked. So now if I click OK, I don't see those points. So what I want you to do is to go to your Illustrator Preferences on a PC or a Mac. It's under Edit if you're on a PC, and go to Anchor Point and Selection right here. And make sure that box is checked. Okay? Very important. And let me also do something here because I want to show you something in a minute. So here's the difference between the Selection tool and the direct selection tool. If I'm in the selection tool, all I can do is move this object around. I can't change where this point is and have the other points stay. So I can actually scale it if I want, like this. You can see, easily scale it. I could take the P key for pen, click that one point and close the shape right there. You see that little circle that's showing up? I'm going to close that one. Now here's what the direct selection tool can do. So if I click the direct selection tool and click away from my little silly object, I can click not in the middle of it because the points will be solid. Let me zoom in. See how when I clicked in the middle of this, in the fill, the points were solid? Now, I'll show you all something. If I take the fill and click the none symbol, and I click in the middle, nothing selects because there is no fill. Do you understand? Now, I'm going to actually click white as the fill. Now, nothing happened there. You didn't see anything because the fill is white. But look at how I can actually click in the middle of this, and I can actually get, that should be selecting. That should actually be, oops. Okay, I didn't have it selected. That's another thing. To actually add a fill to this, you have to have it selected. So I'm going to click the white now. Okay, now I can click in the middle of this where it looks like there's nothing, but there's actually something, which is a white fill. If I make it a light color, you'll see that, of course, it definitely has a fill, but white is a color, right? Now let me get back to what I was saying. And there's so many things I want you to learn, but we're going to take it one step at a time, okay? All right. So there's two things I wanted you to see. Why is the selection color blue all the way around? Why is the stroke red? Well, that's because I made it red. And why is the fill this light green? Well, it's because I made it light green. But if I double click over here, the layer, just like this, do you see how it opens up a box that says layer options? Now I can actually change the selection color, which is important. And I'll show you why. I could change it to yellow. See how now it's yellow? I can double click it again, and I can actually make it like orange, which wouldn't be very smart because now you can't see it. See how the orange is blending into the red? In fact, let me even make it worse. Let me select the red, and now I can't see it at all. So that's why Illustrator allowed you to change colors, not just on the stroke or the fill, but on the selection color. So I'm going to double click it for now and put it onto blue. If I put it onto black, it'll show up great, right? Look at how great that shows up. But what if the stroke was black? So now I'll take the stroke and make it black. Now I can't see the selection color. So you're going to have to play this, I'll call it a game, every single time you come up with a problem. And it's easy. Now, with the items selected, and you saw me select it, I clicked on it right in the center, with the regular selection tool, which, by the way, is the V key. All right? I'm going to double click it now, and if I had to work in black with a black stroke, maybe it would be best to change this color to something like green, where it really shows up. But now it's really hard to tell what is an open point and a closed point, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. So I'm going to double click it and change it back to that blue that I had, because I can definitely see what is an open point and a closed point. Now let me zoom in. I'm going to shrink this by moving these over, and just shrink this with the regular selection tool. And then I'm going to move the stroke over, and I'm going to zoom in because I want to show you this upper point and this lower point when I hit the A key, which is the direct select tool. So now, if I select the edge of this, the points are now open. I actually added a point here, which I'm going to take the P key and just take away that point. It's automatic. I'm not doing anything. It just now goes away. Now, if I take the A key, again, if I click away and click back, not in the fill, but click away and click back on the stroke, do you see how I can take this one point and move only that one point? I could move it anywhere I want to, because I am actually in a tool that allows you to select individual things. Well, that's it. Now the direct select tool should be obvious to you. See how it allows you to take the points and make them hollow? See how this kind of is like a white or a hollow arrow? And so are the points. So I'm going to zoom out by holding Alt or Option and middle mouse button. Watch how I could marquee from out here and now select both these points and move them, but only them. Now watch how I can grab this point just by itself, just by marqueing it. Now it's the only filled point. Do you see how I can make it like this? Now I can marquee the top part, I have both of these points solid. I can click and hold on my mouse and move those points. So the regular selection tool, or the V key, just allows you to move objects, scale objects. That's it. That's all it allows you to do. The direct selection tool, when you first click in the middle of something, you kind of can move the whole shape around again. Now, again, I'm going to say, and I want to do something for you here. I want to go Command or Control C to copy this and Command or Control V to paste. And there's a whole bunch of things that I want to show you about that later, but I'm putting one over the other so you can see something. I'm now going to leave this one white as I'm going to click the fill. I didn't want to make the stroke white. So now the fill is in the front. Okay, see it? Fill is in the front. And I can click the white over here, and now you see how if I move this one away, white is indeed a color. It's not the same color as the pasteboard or the actual artboard. So now I'm going to click this object here. In fact, I'll click the white one and delete it by hitting 1 delete. Now I'm going to Command Z or Control Z back, and I want to show you something. If I select an edge, it will not take just 1 delete to get rid of this shape. Watch, I'll hit 1 delete and now just that edge is gone. I have to hit 2 deletes. Okay? So if all the points are selected in something, 1 delete will get rid of it. If 1 point is selected like this, then it'll take 2 deletes to get rid of it. Now I'm going to Command or Control Z back twice to get that shape back. Now I'm going to get rid of it again. So I'm going to take the pen tool, and I want to show you something that is a default to Illustrator that is very, very irritating. When I click, just click, this thing follows me around. And what that is supposed to do, it was supposed to help people to kind of see what the shape is going to look like. Now I'm going to click here, and then this thing is going to follow me around to wherever I want, and it's called a rubber band effect, and I don't like it. And I'll show you it when I click a straight thing. Look at when that little circle shows up. I can actually see that little tiny circle to the bottom right. I can close that shape. Okay, now I'm going to delete. I'm going to leave that shape right there, and I'm going to move up like this. Now watch how I take and make a curved shape. Again, I have the rubber band effect on still. The difference between clicking straight points and clicking curved points are called handlebars. And if I click, hold, and pull out a handlebar like this, it's going to allow me to move over to where the second part of the curve is going to be, and click, hold, and pull like this. Now these 2 handlebars right there, this one and this one, control that curve. But do you see how this is very, very irritating and how it follows you everywhere you go? And if you don't want that, some people do, but if you don't want that, go to Illustrator, Preferences, Selection and Anchor Display again, and turn off, see where it says Enable Rubber Band for Pen Tool. I'm going to uncheck it. I'm going to click OK. Now it's not there. Now I can continue. So watch, I'll go back in this point where it was my second point, and I want to explain handlebars to you. So I'm going to click, hold, and pull out a handlebar. And yes, this is actually the handlebar, this one right here, for the next curve. So watch how I go over here and click, hold, and pull. And now this curve has 2 handlebars, right? But what happened to those? So if I take the direct selection tool and click there, I now can see those handlebars, and I can edit those handlebars. Now do you see how by me pulling one handlebar in this direction, see how I'm going down? It makes the other curve go up. So handlebars initially are connected. because that keeps everything fluid, and it keeps what we refer to as the geometry very fluid. Now I'm going to go back to the pen tool, which is, by the way, the P key, and I'm going to click, hold, and pull out my handlebar again from that final point, that last point I made. Now I'm going to go back into the first point. See the little circle that shows up? That tells you, oh, you're going to close the shape. You need to close your shapes. So I want to show you something by not closing the shape. Watch if I click, hold, and pull. Do you see how it closes the shape by itself like this, but the shape actually is still an open shape? See how, and remember, Alt or Option zooming is really important to learn. See how it closed the fill? So now I'm going to Command Z back, and I'm going to go get that little circle to show up again. So I'm holding the space bar to move this up. And I'm going to get the circle, click, hold, and pull, and now I have a curved shape, like a funny looking circle. Now what happens if you want to what happens if you want from this point right here where I'm circling? Let me zoom in. What if you want this curve to be an inward curve? Well, here's how you do it. And for the time being, and I'm going to say the quick keys over and over again, I want you to go in your tool palette. And I want you to click where the direct selection is. There's a little bottom right icon. Click it with your right hand mouse button. Click it with your right hand mouse button. Hold on. Okay, as I said, what if you want this curve to change? Okay, I want you, now I remember what I was doing. I want you to go, here, I'll do it again. Right hand click over the direct selection tool, thank you. Go over to the tear off palette, right here on the right, and now move this over to here. Because there's 3 tools that you're going to use throughout this entire guide number 2. The direct selection is 1. Go to the pen tool. Right hand click over the pen tool. Go to the tear off and tear it off. Just click. Now move it over here so you can see all 3 tools, and I will tell you what they are. The pen tool, the anchor point tool, used to be called the convert tool, but it's the anchor point tool, and the direct select. So these 3 tools are what you're going to use. Now I'm going to click to the direct select tool and click that again. Now I'm going to click over here because I want to see the handlebars for this line segment, not this line segment. Okay, do you understand? All right, so I'm going to click right there. Now if I take this anchor point tool, which I want you to think in your head that this is a splitting tool. It splits the responsibility of handlebars. So watch. I now can grab the handlebar, which controls half of this curve, and I can move it to the inside. Now I can grab this handlebar and I can move it to the inside. Now I've made a curve go in the opposite direction. Now if I grab the direct select tool or click on it, I want you to see how now the old connection between this handlebar, the old connection between this handlebar and this handlebar is now split. The old connection between this handlebar and this handlebar is now split. And that's how we make really beautiful shapes. Now, the anchor point tool also puts handlebars back together. So if I click the anchor point tool, all right, I'm going to go into that point, watch this, click, hold, and pull out the same 2 handlebars, but now they're connected. And I'm going to go into the point and click and hold and pull out 2 handlebars, make sure they're not flipped around like this, and now I have them connected. So if I use the direct selection tool, because you don't want to stay in the anchor point tool, it's a very dangerous tool, now I can either change the geometry of this curve with the direct selection tool, pick up this point and move it anywhere I want, or click in the middle and move the whole shape around. So the direct selection tool is what you edit with. If you want to split points, you take, I'll move this over, you grab the convert tool, which is the anchor point tool. I'm sorry, it's been called the convert tool for 20 years. And you grab a handlebar and you can split it. So you can see just how you can make some incredible shapes. Now you see how I'm in the anchor point tool? I don't want to use it on this point because I want to move that point a little bit. And look what happens. I use the wrong tool. So I'm going to Command or Control Z back. I have to flip back to the direct selection tool in order to move this point a little bit. And if I want to take it and do a separate edit to that point, I have to be in the direct select tool. It's your safe tool. So the pen draws. The anchor point tool splits points. It also does something that I want you to see. Do you see how, let me grab this one and make it like this and make it like this. Do you see how I want to go like that? I'm going to take the anchor point tool and I'm going to click that point. It's going to remove the handlebars and make it a straight point, just like these are up here. So if I wanted to, I could actually click and remove the curve in the point, or go back in the point with the anchor point tool and click, hold, and pull out two handlebars and restore the curve. Now, if I use the direct select tool, they are connected again. So gosh darn it, I have to go into the anchor point tool if I want to grab the handlebar and split it. So these are three tools. I'm going to go back. I know that I'm harping on this, but this is a huge learning curve, which if we just take it really simple, you will get it. So I'm going to take the direct select tool and click this one and delete, and click this one and delete. One delete because I clicked into the fill, right? Okay. Now, I'm going to take the pen tool, which is the P key, and I'm going to show you something else. And I'm sorry for all this, but this is the way it goes. So I take the pen and I click. I'll even hold the Shift key and click over here. Just makes a straight line. Now I'll click down here and I'll hold the Shift key and it'll make a 90-degree line. Now I'll let go of the Shift key and I'll close the shape like that. Now what if I wanted to make this a curved shape? I wouldn't have to start over, right? I would take the anchor point tool, click, hold, and pull. Now look, they're kind of reversed. I have to go back this way. And now I can click, hold, and pull this way, and click, hold, and pull this way. And now I have a curved shape. And if I want to, I can stay in there and split the handlebars. Now let me Command Z back several times, because thank gosh you can do that. To undo 99 steps in a row. Okay? If you close the file and open the file, it won't remember all those steps. So now, if I use the direct select tool and click in the middle, I can go up here or over to the stroke palette and I can change the thickness of the stroke like this. All right? Or go up here and in the upper control panel up here, it's actually where this is. So it's the control panel, which is what that is right there. All right. I can actually change the thicknesses here if I wanted to. So what I want you to understand is I want you to right hand click. Let me close these again. And when we go to the actual assignment in a minute, I want you to right hand click and go to the direct select tool, tear off, and put it somewhere. I want you to go to the pen tear off by right hand clicking right there. It's actually right inside there. And let's go to the tear off for it and move it over. Now, before I go any further, I really wanted all of you to watch it, but you can proceed to the first movie if you understand everything I just said. Okay? And I'm almost done anyway, but I want you to see the quick keys. So I've hit P for pen. Illustrator said they made an easy toggle, shortcut toggle, if you want these three tools. But you don't want to have to go up here every single time or over here every single time to actually click it. So let me make this less. And now here's how you do it. So if I'm in the pen tool and I hold Command or Control, it turns into the last selection tool used. See how it's turning into the hollow arrow? Now, if I hit the regular selection tool and then the pen, my Command or Control key will be the wrong selection tool. Actually, it looks like it's the correct selection tool. I don't know how it does it, but they must have made that change because people were complaining. So my whole point is, if you're in the pen, click to the direct select tool and then back to the pen. And then your Command key or your Control key on a PC will be the direct select tool. Now, why is that important? Let me get rid of that shape. So let's say that I was drawing a curve. And let's say that I went over here and I said, oh, I don't like this handlebar. It should be up a little farther. I can hold the Command or Control key, grab the handlebar, grab the handlebar. Sometimes the tolerance is a little funny. And now look at how I can change it and continue drawing. That's funny. Okay, I'm deleting all of that. Let me start over and make sure. So let me do that again. Let's say that you have this curve right here, all right? And you want to re-edit this handlebar. You hold the Command key and you see how you can move the handlebar any way you want. And now you can continue drawing, and you didn't have to click back in the last point. Illustrator is pretty sharp like that. Again, I'll show you. What if this one actually wanted to be moved up? So you hold the Command key and you move that point up and you go, oh, okay, now that follows better. Now, you don't have to go back with the pen tool. I just let go of the Command key and click and hold and pull out the handlebar. It's already there. Even though you don't see it, there's a handlebar already there, and you can go to the next point. Do you see how cool that is? Now let me show you something else. The Option or Alt key is the anchor point tool. So watch how, I know this is going to be a lot, watch how I can use the Command key or Control key, click here to see this handlebar right there. Switch to the Alt or Option key and change the direction of that. Now, if you just let go, you're still back and can draw the last point if you want. Illustrator did not forget where the last point was that you clicked. Now that's amazing. I didn't have to use these palettes here at all. But for a while, if you want to, that's okay. Just remember, if you're in the pen, draw. If you want to edit where things are, switch to the direct selection tool like I just did so you can edit things like handlebars and points. And I do want to have one more quick discussion on handlebars. Students get confused very, very easily when they hit the pen tool. When they click, hold, and pull, they think they're pulling out the line to the next point. But each curve, and I'll say this about 5 times, each curve that you make, and I just clicked, hold, and pulled down, all right? Each curve that you make has 2 handlebars. Now, it doesn't have to have 2 handlebars. It can have 1. I'll show you in a second what I'm talking about. But that is how to do proper geometry. So I'll hold the Command key, and now I can edit this one. This handlebar actually, what's called owns, or its responsibility is to half of this curve. This handlebar owns the other half of the curve. So if you just keep that in mind, okay? Now I'll delete it out by 2 deletes. Now watch. I can click. I didn't pull out any handlebar. See, there's just a point there. I can go over here and pull out a handlebar. Now, this curve only has one handlebar. It can't really make very pretty, and that wasn't a good term, but it can't make what we call sweet geometry. All right? It's impossible. So what if, and let me give you a what if. What if you wanted this to go straight up and arc like half a circle? Well, right now, if you hold the Command key, you can't make it like that. Only this one can go straight up. Do you see what I'm saying? So what you would have to do, and I'll do it the long way, is go back over here and close the curve. Now see how there's no handlebar where I'm pointing up? See how by me going up, it's making this bottom handlebar a little longer? Well, that bottom handlebar is for the bottom curve, right? Because this bottom curve owns 2 handlebars. This top curve owns 1. Well, doggone it. How do you get this one back? You should know. You switch to the anchor point tool. You click and hold in the point. You flip it until it's right, and now you have 2 handlebars. Now you can actually hold the Command key or go back to the Direct Select tool and make this one go straight up and have this one go pretty much straight up. So now you have a sweet, beautiful curve on the top. And yes, it's very possible to take this handlebar and just shove it right back in the point. See how I almost did that? Now I've lost that handlebar again. So I would have to go to the Convert tool or the Anchor Point tool and pull out 2 new handlebars, and you can see they're right there. Now, that should be enough because I'm going to repeat so many times on this assignment right here. Okay? So that is the end of the setup movie. Remember to save after every single step you do, but it wouldn't be a bad idea for you to watch this a couple of times and then zoom in and just practice your curves. Practice a straight line. Look, that's a straight line shape, right? Click and hold handlebar. This handlebar is for is for the curve you're drawing. This handlebar is for later, for a different curve. Click, hold, and pull. Click, hold, and pull away from that point, and now you have it. If you pull to the point, you'll make an inverted shape, which you can do if you want. But I'm going to go like that. Now you go back over here, click, hold, and pull, and you go back where you began, click, hold, and pull. Now you have a straight shape and a curved shape. If you want parts of this to be straight, you just click the Anchor Point tool, and you now have a straight point. Or you have 2 straight points. If you want to split these handlebars, you just use the Anchor Point tool and split the handlebars. If you want to see that upper handlebar, how do you see the upper handlebar on that shape? How do you see it? You can't use the Convert tool. You have to use what tool? The Direct Select. Now you can click that point. There is the upper handlebar. It is split. You can do anything you want with it. All right, and if you want those to be actually joined back together, those handlebars, because you wanted a sweet curve there, you click the Anchor Point tool, or you stay in the pen, you hold Alt or Option, and you have the same Anchor Point tool. Same Anchor Point tool. I'm not letting go of Alt or Option. So it's not that tough if you just take a few minutes out and watch this movie. There's 2 deletes there. Now look, I'm in the pen. Watch what students do all the time, and I do it too. I want to select that shape, but oops, I just made another point. Oops, I just made another point. So I'm only making 2 shapes now. So how do you select things? You go to the regular selection tool or the direct selection tool. You click, delete, click, delete. Now I'm going to Command Z back last time, and then I'm going to stop this movie. How do you edit individual points? Is it in the regular selection tool or the direct selection tool? The answer is it's in the direct selection tool, right? Now, what if the fill was none? See, I'll show you that it's none. I'll grab this and move it over here. See how that fill is none? Watch the difference between a fill of white and a fill of none. So don't fool yourself into thinking that you're drawing a beautiful shape when you're covering up the red line because it's a fill of white. So the very first thing I'm going to do when I start drawing in the next movie is I'm going to make sure the fill is nothing. Okay, thanks. I'll see you in the first movie of the first shape.